Guys, right now, Amazon is the fastest way to get financial freedom by selling a product. Travis, you want to run us through the numbers?
So Amazon is a $1.7 trillion company. It's one of the biggest companies in the world. E-commerce makes up, last year it made up about 12% of all retail sales. This year it's projected to be 20%. Think about that. It's growing like crazy. And on top of that, Amazon makes up 50% of all e-commerce sales. So if you think e-commerce is the future, then you better start an Amazon business now. I think it's an amazing opportunity.
100%. And guys, Travis makes multiple six figures a year, 5 times more than he was making at his engineering job selling on Amazon. I make 6 figures a month selling on Amazon. And we both sell our passion products. So I sell Hydrolyte. You guys know about this. Travis
sells nut butter.
And it's stuff that we love, that we use all the time. So without further ado, let's get into it. Can you tell us a little bit, in a nutshell, what is Amazon FBA?
So Amazon FBA is a way for you to sell your products on Amazon, a way for you to make money on Amazon, where basically you send your products into the Amazon warehouse, and when you get a sale on the giant website that is Amazon, they pick it, pack it, and ship it from their warehouse to the customer, meaning you don't have to do the grunt work. It's absolutely amazing opportunity. It's changed my life. I mean, it's given it's given me enough money.
We're living our best life out here. We're in Southern California. We live by the beach. We're going to the beach every weekend. We're traveling. How many vacations have you been on?
This year, not as many because of COVID. But before that, and look, before we go any further, I do want to say it does take hard work to get started.
100%.
Like, this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. But it's so worth it. The financial freedom to be able to travel,
work from home.
Yeah, live wherever you want, work when you want. And the harder you work, this is my favorite part, is the harder that you work, the more money you're gonna make. Like, that's what's
unlike when we were in engineering jobs.
Yeah.
So what's the first step? Let's talk about the first step.
So product research, or finding the product that you're going to sell, I would say is the first step. And,
of course.
And for me, I think you actually said it really well.
It's finding a problem and then creating a solution. And so that's what I did with my product. That's what Travis did with his product. And basically, in our lives, we have problems, we have inconveniences, we come up with a solution. Your solution has to be better than everyone else's solution for you to differentiate. And then you look at demand, make sure people are looking for that solution, look at some trends, make it something you're passionate about. Travis was passionate about keto, I was passionate about performance supplements and stuff like that. So anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, so here's the big thing. If you understand a problem really well, if you solve your own problem, you're gonna make a better product than everybody else. I used to sell dance clothing. My first e-commerce business, I sold, and we had a company where we manufactured and sold dance clothing. It was hard because I didn't understand the customer. So if you can understand the customer, and the best way to understand the customer is to be the customer, it creates amazing opportunities. Plus, we're not even talking about, a lot of people right now selling on Amazon are selling junk products. They're selling
private label.
Yeah, the private label. They take a generic product, slap their brand on it, and
why would I buy it?
Yeah.
And so that's a good point. So what makes a product good?
A lot of different things. So to me, ideally it needs to be a premium product. If you're trying to make, especially right now, if you're trying to make a lot of money, you don't want to sell the cheapest product on Amazon. You want to sell the best product on Amazon. And what that allows you to do is sell for more, have better margins. Ideally, it should be relatively lightweight, not breakable. I mean,
and so I think the best way to put it is the more value that you add to someone's life, the more you're going to get paid. And one thing you can do is buy your competitors' products, look at them, dissect them, see, this breaks easy, this scratches easy, this, and that, and fix all of that. Look at their 1-star reviews. Helium 10 has a Chrome extension. You can get that Chrome extension, download all your competitors' 1-star reviews, and then just browse right through them and improve everything. And so, that's pretty much finding a solution to a problem is how you come up with a product. Differentiating is how you make it better than everyone. And then the next step is you want to start prepping a launch group. And obviously you have a target demographic in mind. So Travis did this way better than I did. I wish I had done it the way he did. And I'm sure you could have done even a better job if you had known what you know now. So how would you create a launch group?
Yeah, there's a few different things here. So one thing to keep in mind, actually going back to finding a product, I just want to put this out there, is if you ever search on Amazon for something and you don't find that product, that should be like a green light, like a light bulb moment saying this is a product for you. But then once you found what your product is, what I did is I went to social media and I used Instagram, and you could use Instagram, you could use podcasts, you could create a blog or a YouTube channel, it doesn't even matter. You try to create some kind of social media presence and you put it out there. Hey guys, I'm starting this new nut butter company. Here's what makes my product different. And then people are like, oh wow, I want that product. So they start following you. They give their email to you. You say, hey, enter your email down below for a chance to win a free box. Then once you get the emails, here's a big key actually. don't just get people's emails on some newsletter. Send each one of those people a private one-on-one email communication. Have a conversation with them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when you're first starting, 100, 200, 500 emails is not a problem, guys. If you can get 500 people to buy your product when you launch, that is insane. Like, that's incredible. If you can get those 500 people to leave you reviews, that's game over, right? And you do that by like really engaging and having that one-on-one relationship.
Yeah, and honestly, you don't even need 500, 50. If you got 50 to start
reviews.
is like amazing.
Yeah.
Like most products, I see so many products on Amazon, they've been up for a year and they've only got 40 reviews. And I'm like, are these guys even trying?
Yeah, it's hard now. And with all the Amazon terms of service, a lot of people talk about how do I get reviews legally? And I mean, this is the easiest way to do it, right? And so I self-funded my product, and so I got 100 units, paid with my credit card to test the market out. I didn't know anything about Amazon, but Travis did it a better way that I wish I knew that this way existed. So he launched it on Kickstarter. So can you walk us through that?
Yeah, so I ended up raising $15,000 on Kickstarter, and the way, it was awesome. And the way I did it is kind of what I was talking about before, is leading up to the launch. On top of getting them on my email list, I got them into what I call a product launch group, basically a Facebook group, where I'd drip out content. I'd say, hey guys, here's what my logo looks like. And I'd show a bunch of different logos. Which logo do you guys like best? They'd pick whatever logo that they
got them involved.
I got them involved, but I also got like real customers telling me exactly what they want. I say, hey, here's what my box design looks like. What do you think? And so every step of the way, they're rooting for me. They're like, keep going, keep going. And the mistake people make on Kickstarter and on Amazon is they wait till they're ready to launch. And then they say, hey Travis, I just launched a Kickstarter. Can you go give me $20? It's like, no. But if they would have like 3 months ago would have been like, hey, I'm launching this Kickstarter. Hey, let me get some of your advice. And if I would have helped them all along the way.
You're now invested.
Invested in it. Yeah, 100%.
You feel like an investor almost when you buy it on Kickstarter. You're like, wow, I'm one of the first people to test this product. So I thought that was genius because he never had to like dish out money from his pocket. Meanwhile, I had to do it, and you were able to. With 50,000, you bought 50, what? How many units? You got like.
So to be fair, my first production run was like $25,000. Okay. So I did end up putting some of my own money in, but I knew at that point that there was a market.
There was traction.
I already sold $15,000 on a Kickstarter where people weren't going to get the product.
So you validated the demand.
I knew that once I launched it with next day shipping on Amazon, I'm going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And just for the record, the first month on Amazon, I did $15,000 revenue. The second month on Amazon of launching this product, I did $30,000 revenue. So basically within the first 2 months,
you were just killing it.
I was doing pretty well.
And I think is the biggest difference between me and Travis is because I grinded like so much harder on PPC and reviews just to even get some movement, and he got like insane traction because he already had an audience built out. He already had reviews coming in. He already purchases coming in. So it was a lot easier than how I went through it. So I thought that was an amazing way to like launch the product.
Though on the flip side, I gotta say what Mina did is he started with very little cash. Like I think it was $1,500 to start or something.
No, it was $500. Yeah,
$500 to start. Okay, wow. So it's like it's different ways of doing it. I know if I would have done it over again at Kickstarter, I probably could have raised $25,000. I could have funded my entire production run. But for me, every step of the way in the process, you're testing, you're validating it. Mm-hmm. You're making sure, all right, because here's the thing, if nobody follows you on social media, then no one's gonna buy your product. If nobody signs up for your email list, no one's gonna buy your product. So every step, you're kind of making sure that your product's a winning product. Now, that's not always true.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are just really bad at social media and they're good at Amazon.
Exactly.
But that was my
But you don't want to
mindset.
compete. Like, if you have a good social media presence, you're not competing as, okay, you're on a shelf on Amazon and there's same product. And okay, how are you differentiating from everyone when you have a brand presence and a brand awareness that's completely different? So I'm assuming that, okay, you came up with the product. Obviously, we kind of jumped a little bit ahead, but after you came up with the product, you're like, okay, let me find a manufacturer to make this product. So how did you find yours?
Yeah, so I ended up just calling a ton of different people that had nut butters, and I said, hey, I'm a new nut butter company. Do you have like a machine that maybe I could not private label with you, but like I could use your machine when you're not using it? And 90% of them said no. One company basically said yes. I just did a lot of Google searching, and I said, like, that's the big thing. It's
a lot of people are like, how do I find manufacturers in the US? I'm like, dude, have you tried Google? Like, I can't come up with like some crazy ideas, but I think a few things that we would have done different is we would have gone to Expo West
Yeah.
So going to the expos where our like type of manufacturers are, I think that's huge, right? Because if you go to those expos, you're gonna get a massive list of people who are making exactly what you're trying to make, and then you talk to them, you build the relationship right away. And that's another thing we want to talk about is relationship building with manufacturers. So Travis, you did a Google search. I pretty much did the same thing. I did a Google search, and then when I ordered some samples of my product, like samples of the raw materials of my product, I then reached out. I said, hey, can you make me a blend? And they said, yeah. And so that's kind of how I got my first one. And then through networking, I got my manufacturer that I love now. And so there's no formula to it.
That's actually a great point. Is part of the way I found my first manufacturer is I would just pick up the phone, call people, and they'd say, hey, sorry, we can't help you, but Billy Bob's manufacturing can. I'd call them up and they're like, oh, well, I don't do that anymore, but Steve over there does. That's actually how I found my second manufacturer, was just phone calls. And just two other things I'll note is you don't actually have to go to the expos. Most of the websites list all the exhibitors. Do that. And I think there's also a website called like ThomasNet. And we haven't even talked about Alibaba.
Yeah.
If you're gonna manufacture, if you're trying to find someone in China, just go to Alibaba, find a product that's similar to what you're trying to sell. It doesn't have to be the exact, if you're finding someone that's selling the exact product that's private labeling and
you don't want that. You don't want that.
But what you could do, like with Ariana and Vino cards, we found someone that did flash cards, and it was completely different dimensions. It was like kids flash cards or whatever. And we said, hey, can you change the design on these and can you make it different dimensions? So it ended up becoming a custom product, a passion product, but we still used Alibaba to find our manufacturer. So that's some ideas.
And so, okay, you do your research, you find the manufacturers, and then the next step is, okay, let's get some samples of at least something that you guys make. And of course, I can never say, hey, can you make me a sample of Hydrolyte? Maybe with supplements a little bit easier because it's just a mix of powders, but Travis could have not done it. So he would have been like, okay, can you send me a jar of your nut butter? Can you send me a packet of any of the nut butters that you're making right now? And then you have 4 different manufacturers, and you kind of get a sense of like how good their quality is and how good their communication is. If he's like, hey man, I noticed that you put cashews and coconut in your product. Well, did you know that this type of coconut is like releasing a lot of oil and it starts separating and consumers will not like it? You're like, oh, I didn't know that. Right. That's the kind of manufacturer that you want versus someone that's like, yeah, okay, here, go, whatever, answers you after like a week or so. Anything else you want to talk about in terms of like relationships with manufacturers?
I would say get everything in writing for me personally. So
good point.
He's had a very good, I feel like you've had more good experiences.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had more bad experiences. So everything needs to be in writing. So if they tell you on the phone, hey, don't even worry about that fee, I'll take care of it. Send a follow-up email saying, hey, thank you so much for saying you'd get rid of that fee. Like get everything in writing and don't let people weasel out of things. Because it's hard when you're first starting because you feel like the small guy. And here's some giant company. And if you're not careful, it's not always that they're malevolent and they're going to take advantage of you because they're just mean people. Sometimes they just forget what they said.
100%.
So always get it in writing.
And talking about the small guy, right? So sometimes you feel like the small guy approaching these manufacturers, these big manufacturers. So you don't want to seem like the small guy. So there's a few things that you can do to not seem like the small guy, which is basically don't mention MOQ right off the bat. Say, hey, I'm looking, you come from, how like when you're desperate, in anything, if you're desperate to like meet a significant other, if you're desperate approaching like a bank or whatever, they can smell that. So if you're desperate approaching them and you're like, hey, like what's your MOQ? Like, can you do 100 units? They're gonna be like, dude, don't even waste my time. Like me picking up the phone and answering your phone call is like too expensive. So if you come and you say, hey, like I would like to build a relationship, you ask them about themselves, all this kind of stuff. You're like, it's projected that we're gonna do X amount of sales. And obviously, you don't have to say, you can look at your competitor and say, he's doing 1,000 a month, I expect to do 12,000 a year, and say, hey, if everything works out, I expect to do 12,000 in 1 year, and kind of come from a position that is like, okay, can we test the market with 200 units or 300 units? Yeah, okay, we'll let it go this time. And also that will lead into negotiations with your lead time, because guys, it doesn't take 4 weeks to make a product. It takes 2 days. You're just in a 4-week line. Like, when you go to a restaurant and there's a line, it's the same thing. So when you build a good relationship, you can kind of, cut the line a little bit if he really likes you. Also with payment terms, it probably costs them 20% of what they're selling it for. So if you say, hey, I'll give you 20% down, now their cost is covered. So even if you like do some sketchy stuff, they're covered, and you can be like, I'll pay you the rest net 60. trust me, like we're good. Anyways, I'm covering your costs, right? No big deal.
We should define net 60, meaning 60 days after you receive it, right?
Exactly, yeah. So 60, well, I say 60 days after it's shipped.
After shipped, okay.
Yeah, so I'll say I'll pay you $20, 20%, sorry, when I make the order, and then 60 days later I'll pay you the balance. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's all about negotiation. Like that's how life is. So next is, okay, you got your product.
Do you want to talk about inspections or anything like that too? Because that's a big thing with manufacturing.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's talk about freight forwarders and inspectors.
Yeah. So honestly, in China, I don't usually use inspectors, and that's probably a mistake. I have a manufacturer in China that I have a good relationship with. My nut butter guys, they ship it to me. I haven't used an inspector for them either because my first manufacturer, we had a weird deal where basically I'm paying for it, and if it's broken, I still had to pay for it.
Weird.
Yeah, it was a really weird.
Very interesting.
That's why I say get everything in writing.
So I would say the number one reason I would get an inspector is my first 100 units, remember that we talked about?
Yeah.
I never inspected it, and the bag was faulty, and so you can go like 3 feet off the ground, drop it, and the bag would explode and the powder would come out. And so I had about 40 to 60 returns on my, or like whatever, on my first 100. Big learning experience, but at that moment I learned, okay, make sure that you have an inspector and you inspect everything. You have a very strong quality assurance program in place before ever sending anything to the customer, because you can never on Amazon ever get rid of a 1-star review. Right. That's the last thing you want.
Right.
And so you want to touch on freight forwarders.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, freight forwarders, for me, if you're getting something made in China, you can hire a freight forwarder and they're going to get it shipped basically door to door. Yeah, it's just, don't try to do this yourself, in my opinion. It's worth the money to get a freight forwarder. They don't cost that much. The extra
Their
fees
markups are very, very small. So basically, the way it works is you need to get a truck from the manufacturer to the port of China, and get a boat from the port of China to the port of America, get a customs broker at the port of America. Once it's cleared the customs, get another truck from the port of America to the Amazon warehouse. A lot of steps. You can hire a freight forwarder to just, he's got all the connections, he or she has got all the connections. They pick up the phone, they're like, pick it up from here at this time, put it on this boat, and they get everything done. They pass on the fees to you, and they mark it up obviously a little bit, and that's it.
And this is something I don't even feel like an expert about, because I just give them money and tell them to handle it, because I don't want to deal with
get
all
it from
the
here
stuff.
to Amazon, and that's it. I don't want to hear about anything.
Yeah.
So freight forwarders are good. So that would be the next step. Is obviously you contact the manufacturer, you place your purchase order. Have you had any issues with paying them? Are you afraid they're going to take your money and not make the product?
The freight or the manufacturer you're talking about?
No, manufacturer.
I've never personally, and maybe you have a different experience, I've never personally heard about someone paying a manufacturer in China and it not getting done.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Very rare.
Yeah, it's very, very rare. I don't want to definitely do your research. Most of the manufacturers I've worked with have been referrals from friends, or they've been people in the United States. So it hasn't been something I've worried a ton about. But
there's trade assurance, and you can use PayPal to pay. And so you might pay a little bit more, like maybe a 3% fee, but you're 100% covered. So definitely worth it. So now you got your product. It's coming on the way. It's in manufacturing. It's gonna get done. What's the next step?
And one thing we didn't talk about is air shipping. I don't know if you want to cover that real quick.
Yeah, sure. Let's touch on that.
Just another quick thing is you don't have to do a freight forwarder. You don't have to deal with any of that stuff. If it's a small quantity, maybe you're getting 100.
Oh, the first 100 or 200.
Yeah, the first 100, 200. Do air shipping. Sea shipping is going to take 4, 5, 6 weeks. Air shipping, you can use DHL or FedEx. It'll take a week. And so then the next question you're talking about, like once you get it through customs, and I mean, to me,
you're now building the listing on Amazon, so you can get ready to sell. So
God, there's so much.
So what are the let's talk about the main components of an Amazon listing and how you can perfect them.
Title is a huge one. So title, main image, and reviews are the 3 biggest things to me.
And the price.
And the price. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, because that's what people see when they're searching on Amazon. That's what they see, and they decide if they're going to click on your listing in the first place or not. So title and main image, you got to spend a ton of time on. Obviously, reviews, we'll talk about later.
Yeah, we'll talk about the reviews later.
Yeah.
So when Travis mentions title, I think one of the most important things is that it's loaded with the most important keywords and it's readable.
Yeah.
So
not only readable, but it sells the customer. It makes them it entices them. But
So Travis, do you have a video on keyword research?
I do.
Okay, so guys, I'll put the link below somewhere for Travis's keyword research video. It's obviously a lot to get into, and we we have to share the screen, all that stuff. So once you do the right, keyword research, you build the title. You want to make it readable and also at the same time packed, because you don't want to have a robot title. Hydrolyte, electrolyte powder, sodium, potassium. It's like, dude, what is this? It's not even English. You want to have it like nice and like flowy.
Put a little creativity into it, but still try to put those, like, get those keywords to fit in there.
And then let's say main image. So any tips on the main image?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. My thought is I just go with a computer rendering, and we'll put an image of my computer rendering. The cool thing about doing a computer rendering is you can do things you can't do with a photograph. For instance, with Vino cards, we had the box of Vino cards and we had the cards fanned out, which to get a photo to do that, we'd have to use like wires and like it'd be like really
stick the cards together, prop it up. Too much work.
Too much work, and it's the cool thing too about doing a computer rendering is you don't even have to have the physical product. For instance, like with this,
you can do it before it's ever even made.
Yeah, exactly. So the main image, I like to do a computer rendering.
I personally like a computer rendering too because it's perfect. It comes out perfect. There's no blemishes. There's no shine. There's no a crease in the label or whatever. So I prefer the 3D render.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a white background, clear or like transparent, clear background. And yeah, I try and make it fit as much of the because Amazon's main image is like a 1000 by 1000 or 2000 by 2000 pixel. So sometimes you'll get the image, the rendering kind of like with some white space.
Yeah.
Try and crop it as close as possible so it looks like really big in the listing.
It makes it look bigger because remember, if other people if they don't do that, your product's going to seem bigger and more powerful and like a better deal. So it's very important to do.
Yeah. And next up is pricing. So pricing is all has to do with pricing psychology. I'll probably link something down below, like a nice little article about pricing psychology. So you can be priced kind of like the lowest in the market, somewhere in the middle, premium. I personally don't recommend premium.
I feel very differently.
Yeah, so I personally don't recommend premium until you get some more reviews. I'm always like, okay, how about you start kind of at the lower end, and as you build more reviews and that kind of stuff, then you can kind of increase, $1, $1, and then get to that premium that you desire. Because I feel like right off the gates, you're premium. Do you have anything proving that you're premium?
See, my disagreement is it depends what market you're going after, but
100%.
a lot of customers on Amazon aren't as price sensitive as you would think. And I know for myself, if I see, and you're right, as you get more reviews, it's different. But if you see a product with 4.5 stars that's $4 more, a lot of people are just like, screw it. Now, some people are very price sensitive. Honestly, I don't want to deal with price sensitive people because the price sensitive people tend to complain more. They tend to have more issues.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I personally say go premium, and you can test it. How I found my price is I was going to be $25.99, and then I started running out of stock. So I'm like, I'm going to jump up to $27.99. My sales kept exactly the same. Then I went to $29.99, and my sales stayed the same, but I started to get some complaints about how expensive it was. So I went back down to $27.99, and I didn't seem to get any complaints, but at the same time, my sales, it was the same. And one important thing to note, and you're obviously aware of this, is at $24.99 compared to $27.99, it's basically all profit. So by increasing my price by $3, it's $3 extra profit. That could be, it was close to, it was a good percentage.
Yeah, like $2,000 or $3,000 more a month just by bumping up the price. And I love that, and I think the one message to take away from that is he did not have the answer. He got the data, and he made the data give him the answer. So a lot of people are like, is this better? Is that better? Is this? And I always tell them, like, dude, why don't you just try it? I can't tell you because I haven't tested the market, but just test it, and you'll have a definitive answer.
And I will add too, though, keep in mind, people judge. Like, think about wine. When you go to a restaurant, would you rather have the $200? Like, let's say it was free. Would you rather have the $200 bottle of wine or the $40? It's like, it feels more expensive. It feels more premium with the price. So it's,
and just make sure that the images and make sure the images match that premium feel that you're giving it, because a lot of people think that they put it in a nice box with some nice images and they're like, it's premium, and I'm like, okay, let's slow down here. But anyway, so we open up, we build it out, it looks very nice, you click on the listing, and now you got the main image, you got the other images that it could be
like side images.
5 to 9 images, and you have the bullet points in the description, and then there's a couple other things I'm going to touch on. So what do you do for the images?
So all the other images, again, I'm curious to hear your opinion on this, but for me, it's showing the benefits of the product. That's the key
100%.
thing. Like, what makes your product different and better? And you can show your product in action. You can show your product like how it's being used and how it improves. I've seen a lot of people do comparisons, like their product against the competitor with check marks. That's what I do.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what I do too. So I think it all goes down to benefit, feature, and why it matters to the buyer. If you can have all three in there, so this is the feature, this is the benefit of the feature, and this is why it matters to you as a buyer. This is why you should buy it. And now one thing that I do is I open up my top 10 competitors and I go through their listings, and I'll have like the snipping tool, and I'll like snip tool every single image that I think looks good, and I'll compile them all into like one folder, and then I'll go through it, and I'll type up, okay, this looks good, this image looks good, this component of that image looks good, and I'll know my features, benefits, and why it matters to the buyer, and combined with the good elements of that. Now, one thing that I do that is like a quote unquote hack is I'll get my product, I'll send it to a photographer in China, so it's super cheap, and I'll tell him, take pictures of my product from all angles, so straight, left, right, up, down, all these different angles, and basically, now you have assets of your product. And then I go to No Limit Creatives, and I'll put a link in the description below so you can use them. Super cheap, right? It's like maybe $100 or $120 for 8 listing images, and they can Photoshop the images. Like they take the images, remove the background, and then Photoshop them, and it looks super realistic because it's images of the actual product and of the different angles, so it doesn't look like it's a straight, like you've seen where they take a straight render and put it on a table, and I'm like, dude, this looks so fake. Right. Or like a woman is holding it, and like you can see the black through her hands. Yeah. And so that's what I do with the images.
And the biggest thing I'll add to that is, remember, with e-commerce, when selling something on Amazon, they can't hold it in their hand. Yeah. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to replicate not only the physical feeling of holding it in the hand, or like what it would be like, you're trying to show people what it would be like to own the product, but at the same time, giving them the emotional benefits and being like, oh my God, this would solve, whoa, I need more electrolytes in my life. And like, so they know what it's gonna be like to own the product.
Or like, oh, my life is gonna be so amazing if I get this lint roller or whatever. Yeah. So next up, we go into the description and bullet points.
Bullet points.
You have a video on that too? Or?
I'm sure I do, but I mean, we can cover bullet points real quick. Easy. I think bullet points are super important. Look at your competitors, look at the products you buy, see what bullet points stand out. Again, I'd say go for the benefits. Talk about, don't just say 10 ounces of macadamia coconut cashew butter. It's like high quality fuel.
Why do I care?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the thing that I always try to do is, so what? So it's like high quality fat. So what? So why does that matter? And then answer that, say like, high quality fat for high performance, and then explain the science behind it in the details. Again, though, we got to include the keywords in the bullet points because Amazon looks at that.
It's a balancing game. It's the making it sound super nice, benefits and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you need those keywords because like the algorithm and ranking and all that kind of stuff. And it's the same thing. I think bullet points in the description are pretty much identical. Yeah. If you have brand registry, then we're talking
enhanced brand content. Or A+, do they call it now?
A+. So basically, enhanced brand content is, instead of the description being just words, it's words and images, and they give you some like modules that, like set, like here's an image and some text, or maybe here's 4 images and text under it, and you get to pick and build out your own like little section. And so guys, if you want to get into brand registry pretty quickly, in 2 to 3 weeks, you have to go to IP Accelerator, and basically what it does is Amazon is partnered with some lawyers, like trademark lawyers, and you go on their website and they'll give you a bunch of lawyers. You click on one, you reach out to them, you say, hey, I want you to apply for a trademark for my product, and if they apply for you, then they'll send Amazon a message, say, hey, we applied for this person for a trademark, allow them to go into brand registry. Otherwise, if you apply for the trademark yourself, you can end up waiting 8 to 12 months. And because it has to go through the uspto.gov. And anyways, you are gonna wait 8 to 12 months, even with IP Accelerator, to get the actual trademark registration. But when it's Amazon partnered lawyer, they just let you into the program. And brand registry comes with a lot of perks. You can do product display ads, so different types of advertising that you wouldn't if you didn't have it, the A+ content, and then some other things like brand analytics and stuff like that. And also subscribe and save it. Now you have to be in brand registry to get it done. So a few benefits. So we talked about that. Now, a couple other things that I do, a lot of people don't do, is I have a frequently asked questions.
Oh, that's really important.
Section.
Yeah, that's really important.
And so what I'll do is I'll go into all of my competitors' listings and pull all of their questions, and then go into my own listing, and from my buyer account, my regular Amazon.com account where you buy all your stuff, I'll change my name to Amazon customer, so it doesn't look like I asked this, Mina is asking a million questions. It just looks like Amazon customer. And then I'll ask all the questions, and then I'll answer them myself. and it looks like you have 100 different questions of frequently asked questions, but it makes you look like, yo, this product's been around. A lot of people asked the questions, and a lot of people got their questions
and also
answered.
from the customer's standpoint, they might actually have these questions, and so they know the answer, and you can ask it in a way that makes the customer, and you can answer it in a way that makes the customer
copying it from people, from actual people who asked it on other listings,
right.
So they are real questions.
Yeah, so and you don't have to necessarily do it from your own account. I don't know what the terms of service, if that's what the deal is with that. You can always get a friend to do it. Just make sure you don't share Wi-Fi with people, like all that typical stuff.
Yeah, I don't follow those myths, so
yeah.
I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
Anyways, and the final thing is, you'll see that there's videos that you can upload, product demonstration videos, unboxing videos, things like that. And again, you can do it from your own account, and you can upload as many as you want. So as long as the name is like a very anonymous name, I prefer Amazon customer because it just looks like it's a Amazon customer. I'll go to all my friends and I'll be like, hey man, can you like talk about Hydrolyte? Hey man, can you mix Hydrolyte and like pretend you're drinking it? And, hey man, can you open up this Amazon box and like take it out and look at it and show the people? Amazing. I get 12 videos and then I upload them myself, because asking people to upload it can be like pretty difficult. So I literally will like just take the videos and then I'll upload them myself.
Smart.
And you get 10 or 12, and so all of this is just removing doubt. And when someone clicks on your listing, you have to understand that they're always looking for the first reason to say, no, this is not what I want.
Right.
Like everyone's always looking like, why is this not actually a good product for me? Right. And you just have to remove all those doubts.
Yeah, and the big thing too, on top of that, is remember, people don't buy logically. They buy with their emotions. So you want people to feel like, whoa, this is amazing. In a lot of times, if you ask people why they're buying something, they might give you some BS reasons why, but the real reason is they think it's gonna make them happier. They think it's gonna make them feel better in some way. So hit those emotions. Like don't lead with the technical facts, lead with like the benefits and all the emotions behind it.
100%. So now guys, you've built an optimal listing, right? You did all these things. Now the next step is physically launching the product. So you should be working on all of that stuff. Obviously, a lot of the things you can't really do before the listing is live, but launching the product. Talk to us about how you launch the product, because Travis has a very good launch strategy. My strategy is still, I use a couple things, but let Travis talk first.
To me, the launch is the most fun thing. Like, I love launching new products. And the whole key, very similar to how we talked about with launching a Kickstarter, it's like growing that anticipation. When a movie launches in theaters, they don't just say, oh, hey, by the way, the new Star Wars movie's out this Friday. No, they've been building it up for months. And so you should do the same thing with your product. And so that might mean, as I mentioned, social media months before. That might mean sending out emails months before. And, if you don't have months before, you could do this even a few weeks before. But it's letting people know, hey, this product's gonna come out in a month. Hey, it's gonna be coming out in 3 weeks. Hey, it's gonna be coming out in 2 weeks. And don't just tell people it's coming out in 2 weeks. Say, hey, it's coming out in 2 weeks. By the way, here's what our logo looks like. Here's what our design looks like. Here's
get them invested.
Yeah, get them invested. Get their feedback. And don't just do this because you think it's gonna lead to more sales. Listen to what they have to say. My product originally was gonna be all black and white, no color. And someone said, that doesn't look like food. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I when they first said that, I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about. You're not as hip as I am. And then I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I should at least make the nuts have color to it. So they have valuable feedback to give.
Because you're selling to them. That's your target audience.
Yeah, and it's a product for you, don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, it's crowdsourcing. As a crowd, we're smarter. As humans, we're meant to be in like a tribe and get lots of people's feedback. Don't be arrogant and think you're the person that knows everything. But going back to the launch, the whole idea is getting people so excited. For instance, this is a little bit different, but when I launched my Kickstarter, right after I launched it, I told people I'd launch it at 6 in the morning. I ended up launching it at like 5:55 a.m. And as soon as I hit the launch button, within the first minute, I got 6 sales. My girlfriend was next to me and she wanted to be the first one to purchase, and 6 people had already purchased. The same applies to launching on Amazon. When I told people, hey, it's live, people actually bought it the day before. Like, I actually opened it the day before just to make sure everything was good. People were on Amazon like, is it open yet? Is it open yet? And it's because they were so excited. It's the same thing like with a Star Wars movie. If like,
or the iPhone.
Yeah, or the iPhone. Apple does a really good job with it. They build that anticipation.
They hype it up. Yeah, and so, I mean, if you can, so the thing is, what Travis is talking about, is gonna be, it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be grueling, and the reason he's so successful, but fun. But the reason he's so successful is he put in that work. So you have to do what no one else is doing if you want to get to a point where no one else is.
And I'll add in too. Don't just send out newsletters. Don't just post on social media. Send private messages, private emails to every single person on your email list, all your friends and family. Go to your Facebook contacts, and don't be scammy about this. Like, make sure a month before you're letting people know about it, like you're still engaging with them socially. Go to your Facebook friends, send them messages on Facebook. Go to Instagram, DM every single person. Take that time to make it personal. And again, don't do it in a scammy way where you're just like, hey man, go buy my product.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? By the way, I'm launching a new product. Like, okay, how about you relax and like let's have an actual relationship first.
And anybody that's shown even the littlest amount of interest in your product, the day it launches, you better be messaging them with a link, or you could always message them and just say, hey, if you want the link, let me know. That way, Facebook doesn't block you. That way, there's actually like a conversation.
Oh, because if you send too many links,
you can get in trouble. So you can always say, hey, my product is live on Amazon. Do you want me to send you the link, or are you interested? And you can tell people. Here's another part about the launch strategy: is start at a discount. So my product's $27.99. I started it at $19.99 for the first week only. Actually, this is a critical part.
Yeah.
You need some kind of a deadline where it's like, hey, for 1 week only, and there's only a limited supply, 200 units at the $19.99. And this is a key part of internet marketing, is there needs to be some
scarcity.
kind of scarcity and urgency. Mm-hmm. It's like it needs to happen now, and there's only so much.
Yeah.
So that's a
very, very good strategy. I love the whole discounted stuff. So guys, you should be taking notes. Anyway, so next up, do you use anything like influencers, anything like that?
Yeah, and so I've done a lot of that too, where honestly, I only work with influencers where they'll post in exchange for free product. So Instagram, I think YouTube's better than Instagram.
Instagram is amazing, honestly.
Yeah, Instagram's amazing. I think YouTube's even better though, because they have links. Mm-hmm. Where Instagram, a lot of times,
you gotta get the swipe ups.
Yeah, so message people, DM people on Instagram and let them know, hey, I've got this whole thing. Get them involved. Again, treat them like you would a really good friend, and don't just be like pushing stuff on them. And then one thing that's important is if you send them a package, treat it with care. Like wrap it nice, write maybe like a handwritten note. Treat them better than you would just Joe Schmo. And so I think influencers can be very powerful, especially with launching on Amazon. And one thing I would add to that,
they make it look real. They make it look like attractive people want the product. So it really adds a lot of like social, what is it called? Like
I know what you're saying.
It's like a legitimacy. It's like some social legitimacy.
And I'll add on top of that you can tell them to use an affiliate link for your product in their Instagram bio. So you can say, explain to them, and I actually did this for my last launch. Oh, here is how you can set up an affiliate link and make money by promoting this. And a lot of people on Instagram, like the smaller influencers, don't even know about this.
And you're talking about Amazon affiliates.
Yeah, Amazon affiliate links.
So you can teach them how to get the Amazon affiliate link, and then they're just, for promoting it, they're making money from you and from Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting a free product from you, and they're making money from you.
Yeah. I would even incentivize with some sort of like kickback.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of different ways to go about it.
No right or wrong way.
Yeah, and it's basically just make sure, again, to remind them a week before you launch, just, hey, I hope you got your package. And then the day you launch, like, hey, either thanks so much for posting, or hey, if you haven't posted yet, today's the big day. Don't forget about it. So remember, humans are busy. Like, we got a lot of different things going on in our psychology. So you got to remind people that your big day's coming, because it's a big day for you to launch on Amazon. It's not a big day for them.
So one thing I do that I don't know if you do, Travis, is search fund buys. And what search fund buys are is basically you're trying to manipulate the rank so Amazon can rank you higher until like page 1 or whatever. And so basically, let's say someone searches electrolyte powder, scrolls down, finds my product, clicks on it, buys it. Amazon deems that my product is more relevant for that keyword, electrolyte powder, more than it already was. And so you get enough people to do that, Amazon's gonna keep moving you up and up and up in the searches, which means more and more people are gonna find you earlier on page 2 and page 1, and then you're gonna get more sales. So I personally use a service called Rank Bell. I'll rank them below. I'll
link them below.
I will link them below. And basically what they do is they have buyers that are trained to do this. And so I pair that with PPC. Everything Travis said, 100%. That is like kind of the bulk of it. That's if you want to have like a legitimate brand. The couple things that I do are like extra hacks. They should be supplementary to what Travis talked about. So I'll also do PPC, and you can go watch my PPC video. Obviously, link is below. I have A to Z on PPC, and basically I'll have a bunch of campaigns running where if I'm doing search, find, buy on a certain keyword, I'll bid extra high so people can find it faster, click on it, buy it, and I'll move a lot faster up the ranks. So that's pretty much what both of us do for launching. And then final step is PPC. You need PPC 100% of the time running. PPC is like Amazon's now pay to play. And PPC is pay-per-click advertising. And it's basically, if you type in a keyword, you're gonna find a couple products that says sponsored, and that's basically paying or bidding to be in that top position by paying money. And so again, I have a full video, go watch it on Amazon PPC. You wanna make sure that you show up as many places as possible so people can buy your product. And then finally, now let's talk about growing the business a little bit. So first thing is continuous improvement. So how have you continuously improved your products?
So one thing for me, I mean, I guess this might be a different point, is launching new products, but it's also finding different manufacturers, in making the packaging better. I used to have a different style of film that was a little bit harder to tear. It didn't look quite as nice. So the pouch actually looks a little bit better. But it's also listening to my customers' feedback and seeing what they want. The biggest thing they wanted from me was a different flavor. So I launched that new flavor. How about for you?
So for me, again, I don't know if you guys know what my product looked like, but here's the little image of it. And it was basically a gold bag with a sticker. So it looked really like Ratchet, pretty much. And so I improved it by getting, a printed version of the bag. And, it was a little bit flimsy initially, and I kept making it thicker and more premium and bigger. And now I have the containers, and the containers started out with like not as nice labeling. Now it's shiny, everything is smooth. So continuously improving what it looks like, continuously improving the flavor, so different things like that. And then one big thing that you mentioned is launching more products. And once you have that system down, everything that we talked about, you're eventually going to get that down to a science. And once you get that down to a science, you repeat it again and again and again, and you reinvest that profit and you make more and more money. And so that's another very big point, in terms of like, growing your business and making more money. A couple other things is like being on Shopify. How has that, affected your business?
So here's the truth. I haven't put as much energy into my Shopify business as I should. It's an extra $1,000 to $2,000 revenue a month, which is about, $600 to $1,000 profit or so. So
I'll take that.
Yeah, it's extra money.
That, yeah.
Yeah, and on top of it, it gives me a little bit of a safety net just in case my Amazon business ever goes away. At least I know.
It's still a vacation every month.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And so I do think, though, in the future, it's important to have that Shopify, because Amazon can ban you if they want to. They can ban you at any point for any reason. It's not common. I don't know.
And if they do ban you, there's ways around it. You just have to be scrappy about it. But diversify. Have your own thing, because also when you get paid on Shopify, you get the money in your bank 24 hours later.
Right.
Versus Amazon waits about 4 weeks to give you your money.
And on top of it, if you have your own Shopify site, it opens you up to a lot of different type of marketing. Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads, influencer marketing, which you can do influencer marketing and still do Instagram, affiliate marketing.
Yeah. Because with Shopify, you have all these apps and all these integrations, and you can use pixels, and basically pixels are like tracking devices or tracking links that will track an IP address. And so if someone visits your site, you can hit them back up on Google, hit them back up on Facebook.
Remarketing ads, yeah.
So it's like there's so much more power in Shopify than on Amazon. Amazon definitely comes with the warm audience, people ready to buy with their credit cards saved and ready. It's a little bit different with Shopify. You kind of have to like show your product many more times to them. But again, it's $600 to $1,000 of you, and you didn't even put that much effort into it.
No, yeah.
That's a pretty good deal.
I will say Amazon's way easy. The reason I talk about Amazon on my channel so much is not because I'm a fan of Amazon. It's just the easiest way to do e-commerce right now. And it's insane, because before Amazon, I had my own website, and it's hard to convince people to go to your website in the first place.
Because it's like they don't trust it. They're like, maybe this is sketchy. Like, how do I know that you're not going to steal my money?
Yeah. So
because technically you could, right?
Yeah, it's hard to get them to your website, and then it's hard, like you mentioned, to get them to purchase. Where Amazon people, it already has people, and on top of that, they trust it 100%. So, but I do think that Amazon, for each individual product, it has a cap. Because at a certain point, you can keep launching new products, which is a way to grow on Amazon. But let's say I just wanted to do one flavor of performance nut butter. Eventually, I'm going to cap out on Amazon. Where if I have the whole internet, I have Google ads, Facebook ads, influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, you can grow Shopify a lot, but it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons Amazon will cap you is just because it's also a better customer experience, because you don't want to be like the one person. They want the customers to feel like they always have a lot of options.
Yeah.
And so they're all about the customer experience. So one more thing, to add to the whole growing the business is outsourcing and VAs. And Travis, you did an exceptional job. Travis taught me how to get a VA, and by using a lot of the stuff that he taught, I was able to hire someone for $300 a month or $200 a month. It was ridiculous, working for me 40 hours a week. And over the summer, I pretty much worked 1 or 2 hours a day. I was able to enjoy an incredible summer, when I first started my business. And it was all because I built the right systems and used the method Travis taught me to hire a VA, and kind of automated the business. Obviously, it didn't fully automate the business. I still had to run it. But you want to share a little bit about that?
Honestly, hiring a virtual assistant is the best thing I've ever done for my business. I like to tell people, and it's true, it doesn't double your productivity, it triples it. Because not only are you getting an extra 40 hours a week, which should technically double your productivity, for me personally, it made me analyze my business in such a different way, where I'm like, okay, what tasks are worth doing? What tasks should I outsource to my VA? And it's like, look, if I'm doing a task that's boring task, it's draining my energy. And so by getting rid of all those boring, repetitive tasks, it opened my brain up to be able to do really fun, interesting things.
Yeah, become more creative, like innovate, work on the business versus in the business. Because if you're like in the business, you're kind of like on a hamster wheel, and you're kind of running just to keep the lights going. But
right.
Once you bring someone on, now you can think critically, and you're like, what do I need to do here and there, and how do I grow the business? And so I think that's amazing. And one thing to add to that is also outsourcing can be very, very good to add to your business. Now, with outsourcing, it's more like, hiring a freelancer to do a specific job. Don't fall in the same kind of like, mistakes or trip on the same hurdles that I tripped on. When I hired someone, I didn't do any vetting, and I kind of just like took a lot of people's words for, instead of like, really looking testing them, looking into, telling them, give me 3 clients that you've worked with that are success stories, and then calling them, how are those people? And a lot of it also is me. I was under communicating. I was not specifying. You need to be very, very specific and say, you can't go to someone and say, build me a website. You have to say, here's what I want. Here's the website. Here are the pages. Here's the information I want in the pages. Here's the images. Here's like everything in writing. Here's the deliverables. Here's like, the timeline, expectations, everything, and give it to them. And now they're like, okay, I have a very clear direction of what you want me to do, versus them assuming things and like making things up and then saying, oh, well, you never gave me this. You never gave me that.
Totally.
So,
and I've done a video, maybe we can link, it's like an hour and a half on step-by-step how to hire a VA. I don't want to bore you guys.
Yeah. We'll definitely link that. I'll link a couple of videos because there are a couple of good videos. And then finally, cash flow. This is kind of a beginner video, so I'm not going to touch too much into cash flow, but be very careful of your cash flow. And I would say play the entire scenario out. I would do an Excel spreadsheet from day 1 to day 365 and write down, every date that you expect, it's all a forecast that you expect to incur an expense for reordering a product. So say on day 0, you have to pay 25%, and day 60, you have to pay 75%. And then you have to reorder like every 2 months. And then, Amazon's going to pay you every, 2 weeks, and what the pay schedule is like, and all that stuff. Kind of like play it all out and look at how your cash is moving, because you never want to take too much money out, invest it in something, maybe another product, and then you can't reorder enough, and if you run out of stock on Amazon, it's really going to kill you. So I'm not going to go too detailed into that. That's a very advanced topic, maybe for another video. But guys, Travis actually has a full course that you can get for free, and he's going to show you how you can get it for free.
Yeah, you can click on this video, watch this video, and I talk in depth about how you can get my Amazon FBA course, my full course with Q&A, like one-on-one mentorship for free. So please click on that video, check it out.
Don't pass up the opportunity, guys, to learn from one of the best people. It has 100K subscribers on YouTube right now as we record this video. It probably has more by the time it's out. So,
click on that video. Yeah, thank you guys.